Our chief's message this month is CO alarms and monitors. We would encourage you guys to check them once a month. And if you don't have them, to purchase them and install in your home, generally on each level if you can. Other news is we're kind of working on our diversity as far as our employees and hiring process. So if any of you guys know any family members or friends that might be looking for a really good job, we'll be testing in the spring. They can find all that information on SLCFireinfo.com, I believe. So they can get preparation for the test coming up in the spring, as well as some tips and stuff like that. With the diversity, we're looking for ethnic groups, females, more of those kind of people. So if you guys know anybody, please give them the info and have them try out for us. It's a good job. As far as our year end, we ran around 3,200 calls out of our station, making us the second busiest station in the city.
What was the year before? Do you remember? Do you know?
Probably a little less, maybe like 2,700.
Oh, okay.
With Station 2 being closed, we've kind of increased our volume. Thankfully, they're just started working on that now, so hopefully they'll be back into it. So that certainly has affected our run volume, running quite a bit in their district. The busiest was Station 1 downtown, of course, and generally the busiest up here. With that, probably top 5 in the whole state as far as our engine company, busiest. So we stay pretty busy. I'm sure you guys all know that. Hear us running around. We did lose a member. If you guys haven't heard, our arson dog, Star, has been with us for 10, 15 years. Finally moved on. So that's sad, but we got a new one. So hopefully she does a good job.
She retired, right?
No, she retired. She retired a couple
She
years ago.
went to go play on a farm.
Right.
Okay.
She retired a couple of years ago. Finally, old enough for that one. Some arthritis issues and stuff like that.
So
What's the doggy
dog's
have?
name?
What's his name? Yeah. And the arm. We're still
There's only 7 people here.
So, yeah. I'm sure it's
You're going to investigate
The other one was a black lab. This one I think is a yellow lab. So that's about it. You guys have any questions for me? Yes.
No, on the CO detectors, is there any place, I know on one on each level, any place particular?
Generally, seals a little bit. It will stay low to the ground. So,
Okay.
like, those little wall sockets about that height is pretty good.
So it doesn't matter where, like next to the rooms? Or...
Generally, yeah.
If you can put it close to narrow return, that's probably the best.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be on top of it.
Okay.
And you just test it, just push the button, a little alarm, go through its little cycle, and that's how it goes. Generally, they last 5-7 years, and you need to replace them. So. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Talk about smoke detectors.
Smoke detectors.
Yes, sir.
Same thing, lifespans, less than 10 years usually. You can test those once a month as well. They'll have a little test button on them. Remember, change your batteries with the clock change, or the time change is what we recommend. Every 6 months is usually pretty good. Have some really good ones on the market now that are like 10-year batteries. You don't have to ever change the batteries. They're supposed to last 10 years.
They use chuck them when.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know how tested they are. They're fairly new, so it's a good investment. And those, again, in every living space. Bedrooms. Yes, ma'am.
I've seen smoke detectors and heat detectors. Which one do you recommend?
Smoke detectors are more common. I mean, they've been around longer. The technology is a little bit more improved. Heat detectors are more, a little more technical, I guess you'd say. So if it was me buying one, I would just buy a smoke detector. I know that the technology is good.
Heat detectors are more commonly used for commercial spaces versus residential. And a lot of it's the cost of heat detectors are about 8-9 times more expensive than a smoke detector. And a smoke detector, like I say, you see it down the home, is all you're doing.
And the smoke detector will alert you before the heat detector.
How do you get it to not go off when you're in the shower?
Move it maybe a little bit further away from the shower. But like I said, sometimes they just get old and they, the sensors get worn or dirty and just don't work as well.
Replacement of the smoke detector is great, isn't it?
Yes. Like I said, I would say every 5 years, they're generally rated 7 to 10 years.
No. Where you put it in the
Oh,
smoke.
height.
The height. I mean, it's supposed to be relatively close to the ceiling.
Right. Anybody else? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hello, all. To hit on particularly the last 7 days in our district. As has gone on for the last several months, auto thefts are out of control. However, most of these could be solved by people properly securing their vehicles, not leaving keys in them, not leaving them running. Just to illustrate my point, we'll go over a quick set of stats or numbers. So, this is just for December 28th, just for December. 6 total stolen vehicles, 5 were unlocked, all had keys, and 4 were running. Apparently there's some sort of car giveaway that I wasn't aware of, and we're just giving away. So we've been hitting on this since the summer I started bringing it up, I think. I'm at a loss. I guess if you want your vehicle stolen, you don't take care of it, don't secure it. For December 4th through 27th, we had 155 total stolen vehicles. 92 of them were unlocked, 70 had keys, and 44 were running.
Was that just in District 1?
No, that's the whole city.
Okay.
But it's not, I'm just saying, it's not just us. I'll choose my words, the lack of common sense is widespread. Monday morning, in an effort to hopefully address some of this, almost all the personnel in the department are going to adjust shift to come in early and go spread out around the city, and we find the vehicles running, people's driveways, and so on and so forth. We're going to politely knock on the door and say, hey, please help me help you in not getting your vehicle stolen. I mean, we've put it on for ad nauseum for the last long time about Twitter, Nextdoor, our website, through the media. I mean, I really don't know what else we can do in that regard.
It's just too cold out there, detective.
Yeah, they're going to die sitting in the car because it's, no, this is not Wyoming, this is not North Dakota, South Dakota. That's where it's cold. This is balmy here, so.
It's a lot colder walking to work in a coastal.
I worked at Jeff Gaines in the crosswalk for hours at a time. I haven't froze to death yet. Yet. So we're going to hit that up. One of our chiefs actually wanted us to start citing. And I think if this trend continues, that's unfortunately might have to be the way it is. And I don't like that, but
Wouldn't that go against the idle ordinance?
it won't be the idling ordinance that'd be written under because you can idle in your own driveway. That's the caveat on that one. It would be, I'm trying to think, I think it'd be like an unattended running vehicle. There's another state code or something that fits it. And I personally don't want to see that happen, but it is taking up so much resources. And as you probably heard this morning, one of the cars was taken this morning up, had a 7-year-old in it. Someone not only left their car running, they left their kid in it. Now, at times I might want to do that, but my kids are 17 and almost 19, so that's a different story. 7-year-old kid left it unattended and was taken.
Has to go get the other kid. So same thing.
I don't
I'm
know.
not making
Yeah,
excuses.
I
I'm
know.
saying-
I know. So that's our biggest issue. The only other real spike in issues we had was this week we had, versus last year, we had one, that same time frame, one aggravated assault, and we've had 5 this week. And I was trying to get on our mainframe report writing to kind of pull them up and look and see what they were, but it wasn't working, so I wasn't able to pull them up. But I will look through them. If there's anything concerning, I will let you guys know. But the last time I had a spike like that, I pulled them up, and when I actually read the cases, it was much more ado about nothing. They weren't. It wasn't as bad as it sounds. Burglaries. I think we had one more than last year at the same time. Yeah, last year at the same time we had 2. This week we've had 3. So that's not statistically or not even a real huge difference for this year. So that's actually mellowed out compared to what it used to be. It had been the previous months. We're still having that auto theft problem, but it would be cut in more than half. It'd be cut down to probably a third if people would actually secure and protect their vehicle like they should. So I don't know. I don't know about that one, guys. If you have ideas, let us know, because we're banging our head against the wall on this stuff. Because you'd think it'd be common sense, but it's not. So
help me. I mean, I understand that people need to take responsibility for that, but that's also victim blaming. So help me
I'm not
understand.
trying to victim blame, but after we've spent the
understand.
last.
Hold on. Help me understand how the police department is organized or focusing resources on auto theft.
Well, for the last 4 months, we put it out across every medium that we have. Don't leave your keys in your car. Don't leave them open. Don't leave your guns in them. Stuff like that. We've been putting it out there heavily. We've actually done several auto theft intensive operations to try and catch them. Here's the problem. In the past, it was usually a core group of auto thieves that were our frequent flyers. Now, with people leaving them open, we've had a lot more arrests of people that have never really been arrested for auto theft, because you leave a car open and running, the guy that normally doesn't have the skills or going to do that, they're now making easy use of these vehicles. So I'm not trying to be a victim blamer, but there is this thing called personal accountability that we need to practice. I don't know anything else to say than that. You know, we've been putting it out there. So
Okay, well, what are you guys doing about people who steal the cars? That break
Arresting
the
them.
law? Okay.
as always, we'd arrest them. We have a finite number of people that we can put towards this, but we have been putting a lot of resources because it has been a problem. But like I showed you, statistically, if people wouldn't especially leave the keys in them or leave them running. The door's open, I understand that, but here's the thing. With a lot of the ones that we have arrested, they'll go around searching for the doors, especially like the mid-90s Hondas to the mid-2000s when they were particularly easy to steal because you get a partially shaven key and you can finagle it and start the car very easily. They're just looking for open doors, and if they have one of those keys, it's gone. They're not even trying to make it harder on themselves. If it's locked most of the time, they're walking away. So yeah, I think that's what it really boils down to. We've got only so much we can do, as far as that goes. After that, it's,
Are most of them in the morning?
More often than not, but we've seen that. Like, we thought it would be all warm-ups, but then we had a trend there where they were just any time of day because they were leaving the keys or such in the vehicles. So, pretty crazy. So we had a period there for a couple weeks where it was from a little after noon to midnight, and then that's when we ran our operation, and lo and behold, the next week it was now warm-ups again. So it's been kind of all over the board. But the key factors are leaving it unlocked, keys in it, and absolutely leaving them running is the huge one. So,
you guys brought this up last month, and I will say this: since then, I've had I think 2 or 3 people bring it up randomly in conversations that they've heard this is a problem. So I think the word's getting out there a bit. So good job on that.
Well, like I said, I started this before it even got cold. At the tail end of summer, I started talking about it. So, it's not like, unless you're literally living under a rock, we've got it out across every. I mean, they did it on I think they want to do the 12 days of Christmas safety.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
And they put it out there heavily. We've been tweeting it out as they go across. They've been tweeting them out to remind people, don't be a victim. Don't, So.
Why would you leave your keys in the car?
I don't. Hey, I'm in the same. I have no idea why you would. You know what I mean? I have no idea. why you would. Didn't your fire truck get stolen once?
Did you leave your keys in the car with it idling?
They don't have keys. But it was
So, yes.
actually running. Yeah, we went on a call. It was a Delta assault, which doesn't mean you guys. It was a serious assault, head injury. Got there, jumped out of the fire engine. All four of us were on the fire engine. Grabbed our gear and headed in to take care of this person who was injured. Left the engine idling on the curb, which is routine for us. That's generally what we do. And drunk, who happened to be wandering by, saw us vacate the engine, walked up the driveway, got in, and drove away in.
Crime of opportunity. And that's typically what we've seen. And they're not parking them out. They're not stripping them. They're literally hopping in them, driving to this other area. So one of the things we're starting to look at, we've seen some trends where the areas are falling up. So we're trying to figure out what's the other problems. Is there drug houses? Is there some known? Well, the problem is most of our frequent flyer car thieves, we're already looking for them. They don't have a permanent address. They've gotten warrants, so we're just trying to catch them and find them. But we've been arresting a lot more that haven't been known to us as auto thieves because it's the target, it's the opportunity.
How would the police department, I'm more than happy, and I told you this joking
Yeah.
around, like I see my neighbors doing it, and I would love to go in their car, take the key out, and throw the key somewhere. You know, there you go. But hear me out on this one. If we did this as a neighborhood, could we have flyers that say, your car just got robbed, and put it on the windshield wiper? I don't mind doing that on blocks that I see.
We actually have that. To address your a little bit of what you're saying, when our patrol officers are not like on a call that they have to be to right away, if they see one in the mornings, they've been stopping, either knocking on the doors or leaving. They actually have a little flyer made up saying, please, please.
Could we have some?
Sure. I'll find some.
Okay.
I'll find some for you. I don't know if they're getting a special one made up for Monday. If they will, I'll get some. Best way to handle that, I would say, don't keep your neighbor's car.
No, I'm not going to do that.
But don't knock on the door and go, hey, I'm looking out for you.
Well, and I don't even want to make them feel like, I just know when some people would get offended about that.
Yeah.
And just if I can put a funny little thing on there that says, hey, guess what? A thief just came by, stole your car because, and you just check out, just like the civil enforcement does when I put out my recycle can too late. And, you know, it's something just like that. It's like, hey, we're here to help you out.
Well, and I guess it's one of those things, the way I'd look at it, if someone's trying to say, hey, did you know this was going on? I'd be like, hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know.
People don't like that.
I'm not that way. It's like if I offend someone trying to help them out, I guess they get mad at me.
Well, I've seen conversation where people are like, I have the right to run my car as long as I want to in the morning. It's like, okay. Good
There,
luck.
you can't, you know.
But it's something like that. I think it would be. I would appreciate it if we could get some. That would be awesome.
I will see if I'll see the one Monday morning, see if it's like a good one for you guys. So
Cool.
made up.
Nice. Thanks.
I think that's a good way to do it. Education, we've been hitting it. The other thing I've sent off, I thought we might be a little underrepresented, some of our refugee or other, either non-English or Spanish speaking, because we've been hitting those hard, and that's the predominant for us. But I sent off some emails to the city to get some contact information for some of the other groups, so hopefully we didn't miss out on that. Make sure they get the info to it. So.
I just wanted everyone, and Officer already knows, but I was this morning after that incident with the boy, and I was walking Stephanie to school. It's just from 9th West to Rose Park Elementary, and we don't walk that fast. 3 vehicles, 2 cars and a truck that were running with nobody in it. And as far as we were walking, maybe half a block or a block, no one got in them behind us. So, right there.
You know, and other than the fact the car might be stolen, we all have to breathe it's there. And those cars are still looted.
Yeah, just as a reminder.
Are they always running, or is it just the keys are in them, or is it both?
Jenny asked you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it, are they all idling, or are they, I mean, all of them, from the way that you characterized it, most of them have the keys in the ignition. Are all of them running?
No, yeah. When we're saying they're idling or running,
So it's
yes, they're on.
simultaneous.
What's that?
It's at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of when I'm saying keys are in them, they're usually not necessarily in the ignition, but they're sitting in the cup holders or the center console or the jockey box or what have you. They're leaving a set of keys in there. For what reason, I don't know.
But
I have my extra keys in my house. When I lock my keys in my car in the driveway, then I can go in the house and get them.
But the majority of them that you're seeing are idling, so they're running.
No, the majority actually have keys in them, not running. Like that for December 4th through 27th, there's 155. Here, I'll pull it up again. Just got rid of it, but it was 44 that were actually running, like engine on, running.
Right.
And there was 90 that were unlocked and 70 that had the keys in them.
Okay.
So those are the three factors. Unlocked, not quite as big, but as we've gone through and talked to some of these car thieves, yeah, they're looking at that as a target opportunity if they have the bump keys. So locking it up is even better, but leaving keys in there or leaving it running, you're asking for trouble.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Now that I think we've covered that one enough, any other questions, concerns, gripes?
Well, I wanted to comment. You'll be coming to our board house Tuesday at
Yes.
7 o'clock.
Yes.
Everybody's invited.
Yes, I will be there to support Detective Wood. He's going to be the lead on that one. Oh, and I got tasked with taking over the Citizens Academy, and it was supposed to start this week, but they didn't get it out, and they still were fighting on about the curriculum. So they're going to be redoing that, and it'll probably be the middle of February, and they're going to start, I hope, get that ironed out within the next week or two, and then start promoting it. So put in your applications. I will give, since I get to teach it, I get to pick a little bit. So if anyone from District 1 that's on one of our councils that really wants to go, I will make sure that you get in it. And everyone else, it's kind of first come, first served.
What's the how long? What's the time commitment?
That
they're still going through that.
Yeah, because what it was supposed to be, it was going to be for about a month and a half, and it was going to be 2 nights a week for about 2 hours. I think it was going to be Tuesday and Thursday nights for 2 hours or so. And so it would have given a good overview, but I think the chief wanted it short, and they're trying to work out how much is too little and how much is overkill.
Will it be down at the public safety building?
It'll be the Pioneer Precinct, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, on the 7th South.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Detective.
Absolutely. If you have any questions, I'll be out back here in the hallway for a little bit. If you have anything you want to discuss. Oh, sorry, one last thing. Phone number, 801-799-3626. And email is district1, and the number 1, at slcgov.com. Jenni, you're up.
In case you haven't heard, Jen was appointed Community Relations Manager by the Mayor. Let's give her a It's good to have someone in the neighborhood.
Yay! Thank you. So, yes, I was appointed to Mayor Biskupski's administration. I'm honored and thrilled. And my area of responsibility will be community engagement, community outreach. The director over that area, whatever that looks like. I've been 48 hours in, and we'll see what happens. Michael's up at the Avenues tonight.
Is he staying on?
I don't know. And I don't know how a lot of the reorganization will look. I can tell you that the mayor and myself personally are very committed to serious community outreach. And I think that you all know that particularly about me over the years. I have worked for the city council office before, and for the mayor's office years and years ago, and then obviously in the state legislature as well too. So I'll be working with community councils as a whole, and then other groups out in the community. and I'm really excited about it. And because I'm going to, I mean, I would be here anyway, and I would stay for the meeting anyway because I live over on Sterling. But I'm going to, in particular, hang out because it doesn't, I don't know if anyone else from the city is going to be coming later. And then that way, if anything comes up in conversation, I'll make sure that it gets directed or handled or something. So, there you go. Any immediate questions? Okay. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Jen. Let's see.
Councilmember Rogers won't be here tonight. I don't know if we made the announcement or not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's his wife's birthday. Well, we're excited to have, for our spotlight, to have dollar cuts. So Josette walked in, and so she's just going to come and talk a little bit about dollar cuts. I don't know how many of you in there. I go there myself regularly. So we're just off over here off of Redwood Road and 600 North. So you can take just a few minutes and talk to us about it. It'd be great.
Well, like you said, I do see you in quite frequent blend, which is very nice. We're just right over there off of 7th North and 1625 West. Our normal hours are from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 8 p.m. and then Saturdays from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. Got the new phone, got smarter, I guess. So dollar cuts. There are like a little family there. Most of us actually do live in Mill Park. I live right off of Starcrest myself.
Yay!
We're also kind of like Cheers, kind of like how everybody knows your name. Like, I'm glad. But even though I don't cut his hair all the time, I see him most frequently. So even if you're not our regular, we will know your name. Or if we don't know your name, we will know your face. These are similar. Maybe somebody that looks like a dog. So our haircuts are $11, 12 with the shampoo. I brought coupons for you guys that actually give you $1 off your haircuts. You have we have punch cards that we offer. After so many haircuts, you get one for free. We have one that like you can normally come in and it's after 9 haircuts, your 10th one is free. Or we have the prepaid ones where you can buy the 4 right then. Like you have to buy the 4 on the spot. And then you can kind of come in and get it for free, and then your 5th one is free. And then, so besides like haircuts with lineups and fades, we are a full service salon, like the high-end quality, but with reasonable prices, because we are trained to do high-end quality work, but we choose to work at the dollar cuts to stay more humble to our clientele. And so we do offer waxings and colors and perms, smoothing treatments like the Brazilian blowouts. We have one girl that does the eyelash extensions. She's the only one who does them. I'm too ADD for that. It's way too tedious for me. So if you do, yeah, it's kind of, I'm looking at that and I did that in beauty school. I'm like, ooh, mannequin head. So with her, she does book out really fast. So the only thing is if you do want to come in and get eyelash extensions, do be prepared to at least have a 2-week wait period. We also do gelish nails there. Some people don't know what that is. It's not like with the acrylic with the tips and stuff. It's just a thicker nail polish that goes over your natural nail. It's nice for like Mother's Day gifts and like other stuff like that. So they can come in and get a nice polish, but it's going to last them 2 to 3 weeks as opposed to washing their hands in the dishwater and the next day it's gone. We're always looking for new stylists to join the team. If you can believe it or not, we actually are short-staffed. We try not to act like we are, but we are. And so if you even know people in the community, we are more than welcome to bring people into our join the family. And if you have any questions that you want to answer.
Did you shaves?
Straight shaves?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, nice.
I have one, my little bearded boy over there doesn't really necessarily show the example, but he actually uses the straight shave that I use at the salon himself. The one that I have is not the traditional scary looking shape. It is the old school one where you twist it open and a single blade goes in. For the nice clean shave, we're looking at an additional $15.
Cool. Do you guys prefer appointments or walk-ins or what?
Good question. I forgot to mention that. We are both, actually. We do accept walk-ins, and you can make appointments. The only thing is if you are a walk-in, it's kind of like, okay, well, we had somebody call in at 1:30, and you got here at like 1:20, you know, and so it's like that person's here already, so you're going to have to wait until we can do their haircut, and then you'll be next. So I do recommend setting appointments. That way you don't have to, like, if you are on a time limit, that way we can get you in and get you out. And normally, my OCD, I average about 20 minutes for a men's haircut. We do have a girl who can rock them out in about 15 minutes. I know, pretty fast, I know. We try. Like I said, my OCD won't allow me to. I focus on quality. He's actually rocking my haircut right now.
Stand up, stand up.
And then I do, we have a lot of the military guys that come in, so we do offer a military discount as well. Some of them, I have this one gentleman, he's a regular, and I actually do straight shave for his lineup on the back. Instead of doing his face, I come up with a straight shave. Any other questions?
What products do you use?
We carry Bedhead, Sebastian, Sexy, American Crew, Paul Mitchell, and Kenra. Those are the products that we have at the salon. The ones that I personally use, I bounce back and forth between the Sebastian, which is more of a high-end quality one, so I recommend getting that when it's on sale. And then I use the cheaper one, which is the Bedhead one, that is normally on sale for the leader of the duos for $25, which is really cheap.
And that's what you use for the shampoos?
Yeah, all the products that we offer in the salon we use in it's called the back bar, where we keep them back by the shampoo, and so anything that I use on you, you can buy up front. And then where would you like me to do this for you? Do you want me to pass
If you
it
can
out?
just put them out on the back table, that would be great on your way out.
Got it. Thank you guys
Thanks
so much.
Thanks for
coming. I wanted to say that we're really honored that you guys would actually spotlight us on this. So
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thank you. Thank you. That's great to have you come by. Appreciate it. So, a little nervous. Is Matt Minkevitch here?
Yes.
Oh, you are here?
Yeah.
Great. I was a little nervous because I didn't know if you were here. Okay. I'm glad you're here. Excellent. Sweet. So, well, thanks again to Josette, and I know you have, a schedule, so if you need to
I'm
leave,
sorry
we
to
understand.
jump in and jump out, but thank you so much.
No, that's fine. No problem. Thanks again for coming.
Thank you for even having me.
So we're really excited to have our home executive director here, and so I think one of the things we wanted to spotlight is homelessness, and I think with Mayor Biskupski and even Mayor Becker beforehand, I know that's been something that they've really talked about, and so I'm excited to have them here. So if you could come and talk to us about the organization, that would be great. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and thanks to each of you. I'm Matt Minkevitch, and I serve as the director of the Road Home. And we have the privilege of providing emergency shelter and services to people who are in the process of experiencing and hopefully overcoming homelessness. We've been in the Salt Lake area since about 1923, and we were formerly known as Travelers Aid Society, and we're working with volunteers way back then, usually helping stranded travelers. And our role grew and transformed over time. And in the mid-1980s, homelessness across America grew to the kind of problem that we're, to some extent, experiencing today. And that's when a group of community leaders got together. There was a governor's task force and a mayor's task force to try to figure out how to address this problem, because we had many, many people on our streets. And so the downtown shelter on 210 South Rio Grande was created and opened back in December of 1988. And Road Home has been serving there since then. And we'll be providing shelter now to about 1,100 people tonight out of 3 separate locations. At 210 South Rio Grande, right across the street at the St. Vincent de Paul Center, we actually use a little of the floor space at the community dining room for some gentlemen usually who are rather compromised, sometimes inebriated, sometimes in the throes of personal episodes, and will sleep there for the night and be out in the morning. And we also have a family shelter in Midvale we operate during the winter. Because as the temperatures drop, some people who are staying outside will start to come in, and so our numbers go up. Our numbers will go back down to somewhere around 700 or 800 people during the course of the summertime, and then they go up to around 1,100 in the wintertime. There will be 200 children with us tonight in our shelters. Probably about 60 downtown and about 140 or 150 at our facility in Midvale. And homelessness, in my estimation, is a problem that continues to vex America, and certainly our cities, and certainly Salt Lake City and Salt Lake County. And there are a few reasons for that from my vantage point. And one of the more significant reasons is lessening of the supply of affordable housing that exists throughout our communities. I think we've all seen how rent prices have gone up and prices have gone up. Inflation for other things has remained rather stable. We've been told about housing prices have definitely gone up. So the availability of low-cost housing has been in short supply. The number of people who need that housing has gone up, however. We have approximately 250,000 or maybe greater than that people across the Wasatch Front who are living at the federal poverty level or below. And so their incomes are very, very constrained. Now they might not be that way forever, but they're going to be that way for some time. And while folks are at that income level, they need a more affordable place to live. And in the absence of that, they're living usually in difficult circumstance, which could eventually wind them up in having a period of homelessness. There are other personal factors that affect our communities and people within our communities. Mental wellness is certainly an issue, and certainly substance use disorder is also another problem in our community that can propel a person in a downward spiral that can ultimately have them be on the streets. But for those who are staying in our shelters, if you look over the past 5 years, we've had approximately 25,000 different human beings stay with us in our shelters over the past 5 years. And to be really, really general, but it kind of breaks out into two groups. And in one group, the vast majority of people have a one-time episode of homelessness. Statistically, it might come out to 1.4, 1.5, because maybe someone comes back in the shelter that's in that group. But it's very brief in duration. Folks move on and don't need shelter again. Now that represents over 80% of people, not only in Salt Lake, but across America, that are using the homeless sheltering system or ever have need of the homeless sheltering system. Now, about 10 to 14%, the smaller group, are in this other state of homelessness and really are using the shelter as a long-term housing alternative in the absence of having a better alternative. So while they're small in number, if you take a snapshot of like all the shelter beds, if you were to line them all up, the vast majority of shelter beds are being occupied by folks in this small category that for a variety of challenging reasons are living in shelters, and when they're not in the shelter, they might be living on the streets. So our agency, in working with a variety of different partnerships, has started to find ways to help people get out of homelessness and get into housing. So as I mentioned, tonight we have about 1,100 people with us in shelter. Well, tonight also we'll have over 1,700 people who are in housing through some form of road home programming. Now, in some cases, we actually have responsibility for the housing units and are managing them and are providing case management services or supportive services for that small segment of people who are living in that smaller category that I mentioned, because we realize folks in that category are not terribly competitive out in the market for rental housing, so we have to create a different kind of rental housing. And when we do so, we can reduce demand on shelters and provide a better quality of life for people who don't have a better alternative than the shelter or the streets. And so that's where we focused our attention for the past decade. We've been working very diligently with a variety of partners to help do that. But for those families and other individuals who have this more brief episode of homelessness, but specifically families, we've been applying what is called rapid rehousing. Some deposit assistance, some rental assistance, some barrier removal, say they had some past debts that are getting in the way of them being able to move out of shelter and into housing. And we provide some rental assistance for some folks to get out of shelter, and then maybe a bit of rental assistance for a few months while they stabilize, back off of that relationship, and they're on their own. And I got to tell you, when we first started doing that, it felt like a pretty risky proposition. It seemed scary to me because folks came into the shelter for a reason, and things were looking pretty tough. But over the past few years, we've helped over 3,000 families, and 87% of those families have not moved back into shelter with that little boost we provided. They figured that, you know, they were out of homelessness for a long time before they ever came into shelter, and they stayed out of homelessness once we gave them a little bit of a boost. So I'm very pleased with that little piece. I'm pleased with some of the permanent supportive housing that we've provided. And I'm also here to suggest that we need an affordable housing plan. We need an affordable housing plan not just for Salt Lake County, but also for the Wasatch Front, but not just for the Wasatch Front, but for Utah, but not just for Utah, but for the United States of America. And as we do that, as we start to realize that if we're going to have a certain percentage of people who are living at a poverty level or below with extremely low incomes, if we can create some housing where people can manage to live and have a place, even though their earnings at the time are meager, then we won't have as many people turning to emergency shelters. If we have access, of course, to treatment. If I were accompanied by behavioral health specialists and mental health specialists, they would say greater access to treatment will help people thrive once in housing. But people can thrive in housing if they have access to treatment and services. One of the nice things about housing and housing for people who have some of these challenges is when you have an address, it's easier for the mental health worker who might be working with you to know where you're at, and be able to knock on your door, and be able to help you through your moment of need. And that's been our experience as we manage a few hundred units of this kind of housing, and it's a game changer. It is very good for our community. It is incredibly important for the people who live there. It is a game changer. And so I certainly recommend that highly. In the meantime, we'll continue to provide shelter and do everything that we can to help people get out of the cold. Our commitment to housing has been what has enabled our organization to be able to bring people in and not turn people away on cold nights like tonight. If we did not have a housing plan, if we did not have a housing strategy, if we did not work in collaboration with others, then the shelter would quickly fill up, and we would have people waiting to get in, and we would not have room. But still, even though we have a good housing plan, even though we've done some very good things and made some great strides with housing, it gets scary. It gets scary because there are a lot of people turning to us, a lot of people in need, and when those temperatures drop, we want to make sure we can get everyone in. And we know that the way forward is housing. We know that if we create it, people thrive therein. We know that with supportive services, including access to substance abuse services, that people can overcome tremendous personal barriers. And when they do, we're all better off. So that's what we're committed to doing. That's what we pledge to continue to do. We want to continue to find ways to create more housing alternatives. We're not trying to become some great big housing developer, because we think that there are great housing developers out there that create all sorts of very nice apartments that get all sorts of people in. But we want to target that small, little piece of the pie, that little group of humanity that doesn't quite fit into the market housing that we're currently creating. And in so doing, we think that as we do that, and as others do that, and as more treatment is available, we'll heal as a community, and we'll see homelessness change in the course of our lifetime. And we'll see large shelters like ours shrink to the point that they should. I want to make one other point that's kind of a little interesting little statistic. If we look at that 5-year period where the 25,000 or so people used us, about 63% of those stayed with us under 6 weeks or less. And if you look at those 63% in that nightly snapshot, if you gather all those 1,100 beds that I just mentioned, they're only taking up about 90 beds a night. 63% of everyone we serve over the past 5 years are only having a footprint of about 90 beds a night. The other beds are where our community shelters across America are becoming our nation's poorhouse. And we can change that. And we can, and we should, and we will. And I'm encouraged about our ability to do so, because it makes sense, it's more humane, it's more sustainable, it's more economical. And so, in the meantime, we have a lot of volunteer opportunities, and I will leave some cards and things out on the table. And I'm here to answer any questions that you might have, and I'll try to keep those brief. I get into this stuff sometimes, but I'll try to keep it brief. I don't know if I've already gone over to
You're fine. And Matt, one thing I talked to your office about email, and I think volunteering is a good thing. Besides volunteering, do you think there's anything else that we can do to help you with homelessness?
Yes, I think that if you look up and study this and research this and think that affordable housing, if you believe like we do that affordable housing and the constraint upon the availability of affordable housing is causing problems in our community, in at least raising that issue and raising that question from time to time, that helps promote a dialogue and is very helpful. I'm very encouraged by Mayor Biskupski. She brought it up in her inaugural address. I mean, that's good. That's good. We're very encouraged by that. So that's important. We always need socks. I know that is incredibly going from macro to micro. We have never had enough socks.
Wow.
And it can really hurt when you don't have the right socks on. So it can really alleviate suffering, and we have no wrong size. You're going to have the right size. Whatever you give, it's going to be helpful in that regard. Okay, yes, sir. Yes.
What is your position on having the road home split up into 3 different areas, and is there a builder just waiting on the sideline to turn that into condos?
I don't know about a builder on the sideline. Would it be better to have new shelters that are smaller? Sure. Here's some of the considerations that a community would need to take into account, that we would certainly take into account. If we take what we currently have downtown and break it up into, say, 3, like you're saying, that's 3 different facilities, all of which need to be maintained. So from a business standpoint or management standpoint, those would each be a cost center. Each of them would have costs. They would all need to be run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as far as I can see it. So it would add to the cost of providing shelter. Now, part of the discussion is that a better thing to do in terms of community impact? And should community impact be taken into account? Because there'll be smaller shelters, so that could possibly lessen community impact. So there's that possibility. I think that that's still a proposition that requires a lot of thought. I think that there's a reason that our shelter has so much demand coming our way, and that's because a lot of areas won't build shelters in their communities. There are very few people like Mayor Seelig in our community who said, yes, let's build a shelter in our community. But even there were a lot of constraints with that parcel of land, but it's been tremendously helpful to have it. And still, we have to ask the question, then what? Because the population is going to grow. And so if we don't have housing, then more people may need shelter. And if more people need shelter, if we build 3 shelters that don't have any greater capacity than what we currently have, then we could have 3 new shelters and have people on the street as our population grows, if we don't answer the housing question. So yeah, new shelters. We just built one in Midvale. The old shelter was so bad we had to tear it down and build a new one, and I'm glad that we have that facility. It's much better. And when people come in, I'm glad we're getting them out of the cold. And immediately, we're working with them to answer the next question. Then what? Because shelter alone doesn't get it done. So our part in the dialogue, that discussion about more shelters and others, that yes, I mean, you can definitely improve on what we have on Rio Grande. It's on a very constrained parcel of land. I understand that. But housing has to be a part of the equation. And I would suggest has to be a larger part of the equation, because if it's not, if housing and services are not, then we're going to have more people turning to shelters because of a lack of a better alternative. And until we crack that nut, we could find ourselves in a shelter trap. So we want to make sure we don't do that.
Question for you. With, obviously it's in the news with Mayor Biskupski, with Mayor McAdams, there's a lot of emphasis put on this type of thing. All I want to know is, do you have a really good seat at that table? Knowing that you have been a champion for, you are at that table and helping make decisions and steer and guide. And
absolutely. And what I appreciate, Mayor McAdams, as a matter of fact, yesterday, Mayor McAdams, our team, and Mayor McAdams were presenting before the county council to talk about a new pilot project that takes some of the folks that I mentioned before, that smaller group that comprise a larger imprint on shelter beds, and are trying to test a pilot project that provides rental assistance and some intensive supportive services for individuals in that category by taking advantage of some of the affordable units that exist out there. While we create more units and work on that on the longer term, on the more immediate term, if we can start to get some people out and provide some supportive services to them in that category, that will really have an impact, benefit to a number of people who are staying in shelter and create capacity within the existing shelter system. So we definitely have a seat at that table. Yes.
We know all the champions of trying to make the change for those in need. Who can we reach out to suggest and encourage to look at more expanding affordable housing? Who needs a little nudging? Are there people who are kind of fighting or need a little bit more encouragement from constituents?
Well, I think that I think most of us get it intuitively. So it's not like I don't know if people out there with placards saying, people in shelters, you know, and I know that that's not your question.
Yeah.
But, so I think I think it's more of supporting the champions. And I think that certainly in the mayor's office at the city and the county level, I would suggest that from my vantage point, I'm just a human being like everyone else, you know, but from my vantage point, I think we've got two champions in Mayor Biskupski and Mayor McAdams, because they get it. And they understand that they feel the weight of having to manage a city. And there's so many moving parts, and there are challenges. There's no one at the road home that's saying, hey, it is great that we have all these people crammed on the Rio Grande Corridor. That's not good. That's not good. That's not what we're about. We'd like to see fewer people there. And what we know is some of those folks that we've seen there for a very long time, once we were able to get them into housing and help them grow and heal in housing, they don't have a need to really hang out down there. And it just lessens the pressure a bit. And so, you know, if our mayors are hearing about that, it would be helpful. If there's one community, I just don't understand why Provo doesn't have a homeless shelter.
They have a student care course.
They do a fantastic job, and Brent Crane is a wonderful director. And I bet he would, if he could get more people off the street, he would.
He would.
If he were allowed, he would. But maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should just create more affordable housing, and then they can avoid the shelter trap altogether.
They've actually been sending people down to the road home, and also to the bishops down in Utah County have been sending all the people, instead of helping out with motel for a little while, and sending the housing authorities, have been sending them to the road home. I'm in the Native American War down there, and I've actually been homeless for the last 4.5 years. And that's what he told me, that my bishop told me that they've been told to send people to the road home. And I'm here because I want to get off the streets. I want your advice. I look up to you guys because you know pretty much how to live life well, and I feel like I haven't. But I appreciate that you guys were here. I don't want to get all emotional. My brother actually froze to death 10 years ago by the mission, and that's why I came to Salt Lake, is so I could go to the park, Pioneer Park, and to the mission to see what his end of days was like. I've been here for 6 months now. I just got on Utah County housing myself.
Oh, good.
It took me 2.5 years, but I actually got beat down by the road home because of the color of my skin. Yeah, it was really hard. But I can see how people can get really comfortable being homeless. Pretty much your clothes are provided for. You know, they've got some pretty well-dressed homeless people. I don't think I've ever dressed so nice in my whole entire life until I'm homeless. As for what you said, do they need a push, like yeah, absolutely. You know, I wish that there were more people like you guys out there. But, I don't know, I'm serious, I really isn't actually.
Thank you for sharing. And I'm glad that you haven't given up hope. And I can understand how difficult it is to share sometimes personal events and things. I'm sorry for your brother.
Thanks, guys.
Do you know when you could be getting an apartment and housing?
I've been looking. I can actually going to see a relative here in Rose Park. He was here. My son's at the computers, and he's looking online on Craigslist and KSL for Utah County. I want to go to school in Draper to be a dental lab technician, making pulse, speech, dentures, parsons, and implants. And but I can live in Utah County, so I've been staying at the road home, you know, once in a while, and then going back and forth on the front runner. I'm trying to find a place in America work or Lehigh.
Yeah. Housing's always better than shelter.
Yeah.
It's always better than shelter.
My biggest goal is self-sufficiency. I want to be self-sufficient. I never have. I'm 47 years old. I've never paid $20 towards my rent my whole entire history of life. My parents always did it for me. My dad died 10 months ago, and I was hit like a house. Party was over. I just want to be able to do that at least 1 month and move forward. I can. But the people on the road home, they're incredible. The people that work for you guys or work there, they give so much encouragement. They have helped me along my way, and they're so positive. You know, I'll go to them for direction and guidance, and they will give it to me. And the security officers there, when I want to go use drugs, I'll go talk to them. Or I'll call the jail and ask them what they're eating for lunch. Because that just keeps me from making the right decision. You know? I don't see any reason why I would go back there after I get out on housing. But if I was an addict, I sure as heck would go back there. And that was a big problem for me. Is that part?
You'll make it. I have tremendous confidence, hope, and there's a lot of evidence that is going to show you're going to make it. That's something I think that, I know this is anecdotal, but I have been at it a little while. And it's remarkable. And every day, I see someone overcoming homelessness. I see people overcoming addiction. I see people who have overcome tremendous abuse, traumas that are unspeakable, and overcome homelessness and start anew. And they're different. They've been through something. And that different is a good different because they have something to offer someone else who's suffering. And they can reach out in a particular way. It's a very good thing. And we need that in our community. We're better for it. So again, I want to thank you. And I don't know if there are any other questions.
Do the children still go to Washington Elementary?
Yes, unless they're going to another school and the parents are working with the district and keeping the kids from being the new kid. And but Washington's wonderful, and Bryant, and for our kids at Palmer Court, Lincoln, and the schools are wonderful. And there's another person out there, if we're streaming, hey, Connie Crosby, you know, and just she's with the Canyon School District and does a remarkable job. And Mike with the Salt Lake School District, shout out to you. I'm staring at the camera for that one. And they're Mike is like in the lobby. Mike Harmon, yeah, thanks, Mike. Sorry, a little too familiar. There are a lot of Mikes out there, but there's one Mike Harmon. So, and he's there making sure the kids are getting on the bus and knocking on the door if they're not, and because they can have a rough day, and so that's important. It's very important. So keeping kids engaged in school is critically important, and that's where the school districts will tell you that the numbers of homeless that are being reported are much higher, much greater than numbers that we see coming out of different branches of state government or HUD, because they have a better understanding of families that are doubled up. So there was another question.
Yeah,
yes.
I did. A few years ago, the legislature passed the Good Landlord Ordinance program. Are you familiar with that?
Not by letter.
Right.
But
in essence, it required cities to have some type of permitting requirement that landlords would need to do background checks on people getting into housing. And a few years ago, the disability community was really concerned about it as well too, because yes, we need to make sure that landlords are responsible, and I know what it's like to live next door to a property where a landlord isn't, so it's important.
Indeed.
But I also know that sometimes people make mistakes.
Yep.
And if we don't give people an opportunity to do right by themselves, then we just perpetuate a cycle. And so I didn't know how much, like if that had come up at all again, or maybe if the problem has corrected itself. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know that I can speak too much to good landlord policies. I think what I do understand is that there's a shortage of units.
Right.
A shortage of units for people with extremely low incomes or deeply low incomes. And I was just at a presentation earlier today at the library, the state library offices, where they pointed out that for people living with extremely low incomes in Salt Lake County, there are about 17 rental units available for every 100 people that are living in that category. So, you know, the supply and demand is out of balance. And so if we can correct that, I firmly believe we'll have fewer people needing to come to shelter. Mm-hmm. And we need to correct that over time. We need to correct it immediately, but we also need to invest over time so that when our population is 4 million, and as we go up over time in Utah, that we'll be prepared to have a place for people to live. And when we do that, that's gonna help correct a lot of things.
Thank you.
Is most of that affordable housing on the west side, Matt? Or is there anything east of 7th East?
I don't know about east of 7th East.
Or east of State Street even. I mean,
oh, yeah.
Seems like the west side does
yeah, the west side. I want to point you in a better direction than my sentiments or, what I think is happening out there. James Wood at the Bureau of Economic and Business Research at the University of Utah has some detailed analysis that he's done regarding transportation corridors, regarding the valley as a whole, regarding where people on free and reduced lunch are living, kids in free and reduced lunch, where people in poverty are living, and there are definitely some clusters happening. And I'm sure that the west side is a part of that. So too is Midvale and West Jordan and some other parts of the valley where you see some concentrations. But I was surprised to see a pretty good concentration in the downtown area, and it wasn't just because of the shelter. And I know that we have some access to some apartments in the 3rd East, 4th East sort of region, and some apartments in those areas.
South Salt Lake, yeah.
No, in downtown Salt Lake. And I think that those are probably a perishable commodity. They'll be developed and hyped up over time. But there's good, solid data on that. And Jim Wood's research was rather sobering, and I think it might even be available online. I took a long time, but
thank you so much. I think that was good, very thoughtful discussion. So grateful that you could come by. So I know we're running close to time, so if we could just have the next few, I'm glad you're stuck with us. But maybe if you could each take about 5 minutes and discuss your programs, and then we'll go from there. So first we have Annie Dayton with the Let's Safe Housing Program, and then after Annie, Dave Woodman with Assist, and then Jenni Oman with Salt Lake Public Utilities. Is Jen here? Yeah, okay. I figured that was you. Okay, great. So if you could each take about 5 minutes and go ahead. Thank you.
Hi, I'll try to be brief. I'm Annie Dayton. I'm the outreach coordinator for Salt Lake County's Lead Safe Housing Program. We're in the Office of Regional Development. And we have a federal grant that allows us to do free lead remediation to homes. And it's a super simple program. There's just 3 requirements. The home has to be built before 1978. There has to be children under the age of 6 living or who visit the home frequently. And when we say visit the home frequently, we mean at least 6 hours a week. So if it's like a grandma or an aunt or uncle that takes care of their nieces or nephews or grandchildren or something like that, that will count as well. Or a pregnant woman. So 6 children under the age of 6 or a pregnant woman living in the home. And if the income is at or below the qualifying level, which is 80% of the median income for the area, so which no one knows what that is off the top of their head. So we have flyers, they're on the back table, and it has a table, because that varies depending on the size of your household. And it's actually pretty moderate income, so low to moderate income families. And it's for people that own their home or people that rent. With the rentals, we have to go through a couple of hoops to try to get landlords to sign on. And the income qualifications vary just a little bit differently for the rental properties. But we will come out, do an assessment of the home, and we'll do, if it tests positive for lead, we will do repainting and lead remediation, and it is completely free. And it's a program that we want to keep, and it's one of those programs that we have to meet our benchmarks for our grant, and if we don't meet our benchmarks for our grant, then there's a possibility that the grant could go away and that we wouldn't have these resources. So if you qualify or you know anyone that qualifies, please refer them to us. We still need about 50 more projects that need to be done in this grant year. And that will help us when we apply for the next grant to show we reached our benchmarks, there's this need. Please give us another grant. And it is for all of Salt Lake County, not just Salt Lake City. So, but obviously we're really concentrating on kind of areas on the west side like Rose Park and Glendale where there are older homes and kind of more moderate income families. In addition to the Lead Safe Housing program, I know we have to be brief, but we also have another program called Green and Healthy Homes, which is much more broad. The lead program is very narrow. We're just trying to take care of lead because we want to prevent lead poisoning in children, because the effects of lead for children that have lead poisoning, it's irreversible, and it can cause some major behavioral and learning problems, and that's just something we want to prevent. The Green and Healthy Homes initiative is much more broad. We're just looking to make homes safer that have mold problems, weatherization problems, and we focus especially on children that have asthma, to remove asthma triggers from the home. So that's like replacing carpet or completely getting rid of carpet, things that we want to make sure that if there are children that are utilizing emergency room services very frequently, that we are looking at their homes to make sure it's healthy so they're not using those services so much. So those are our two programs, and if you have any questions, please call us, visit our website, take a flyer, and you can find out more about it, but they're pretty straightforward, and we're just hoping that we can make sure that the people in our county have safe homes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for sticking this out. Thanks, Mr. Larson, for inviting me tonight. I'm Dave Woodman, the Housing Director at Assist. I'm here to talk about 3 programs that we administer at Assist. Originally, Assist started as sort of the architectural equivalent of legal aid. This was to provide design services for people who could not afford them. We do a lot of work for folks who have disabilities, making their homes accessible. This is having an architect come out and go through the home and find out where there are barriers for a person to try and get rid of those barriers, be it access ramps, kitchen bathroom modifications, things to make the home function for people. The program I administer is called Emergency Home Repair. This is a program designed to help very low-income families with home repair needs so that they can continue to live in their homes. What we do is we have a contractor go out, a private contractor, have them resolve an immediate serious problem with the home, be it a roof that leaks, a sewer that's broken. This time of year, we do a lot of heating repairs, as you can well imagine. People have frozen pipes. We do work on people's homes, people who live in mobile homes. We do the majority of our repairs. We work in 12 municipalities in the county here, and we do about 800 to 900 repairs each year. majority of our repairs in Salt Lake City are in District 1 and District 2. So I think we're focusing our efforts on the community where it can best serve the people. There's an exciting new program that we're offering in the system. It's called Aging in Place. This is Aging in Place. This is a program designed to help. We will have an architect or myself go out and go through the home with the person and look for potential hazards in the home, be it something so simple as that throw rug you have in front of your sink that you're going to slip on and break your neck. Get rid of it. It's going to hurt you. It can be putting a grab bar in a bathtub. It can be putting a railing on a set of steps. Some very common sense things. Often just removing clutter. We have various bits of information in the rear on the table there on the design program, on the emergency home repair program, and on the Aging in Place program. There's a checklist that you can go through and kind of do a lot of this preliminary stuff yourself. Then you can contact us and we can go out and we can go through with you and hopefully make it so that you can continue to live in your home as you age in a safe and secure situation. I can talk on this for hours, but I know we're tight on time. So thank you for waiting. If there's any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them. And we do have the information at the back of the room. We work with our community partners, with Salt Lake County, with Salt Lake City, and there are a lot of resources out there. If we're not able to help you, potentially we could at least refer you to an organization that may be able to. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Stan. He didn't, but I did.
Hi, I'm Jenni Oman with Salt Lake City Public Utilities. I'm an engineer there. I just wanted to let you know about a Waterline project that we're actually going to be doing right out here. So it's still in design at this point, but we are replacing or remediating the 12-inch line. It depends on what the bids we get. So either we'll slip line or we'll line the pipe in some way, or we'll just replace it completely, except for over the Jordan, and that will just get lined no matter what. We anticipate that we'll go to bid next month, and so we'll probably start construction, let's see, April, May, that kind of area, or depending on when, usually the contractor's kind of going to help set that date. It will impact traffic along here.
On 10th North?
On 10th North. It's right on 10th North, yes. It goes from Redwood. We'll actually be tying into Redwood, and we'll be going down to 15th West. And it's on the north side of the road, so, we'll be able to have one lane of traffic open each way, just because this road's wide enough. And that hasn't been completely worked out. But you will see construction out here.
What west?
15th.
It's not too far. It's only a few blocks.
Oh, only a couple blocks.
Yeah, it's not very long.
Okay.
It's not. It's just that water line's really old and an undesirable material, so we would like to replace it. It also has a random 6-inch section and 12-inch pipe, and so for like a couple hundred feet, it's 6-inch, and so we're going to make it all 12-inch, which makes sense. So, and I kind of asked around to see what other kind of projects we had going on right now, and there will probably be more, but for right now, we didn't have any more in Rose Park, just on anybody's radar for immediate construction. So we are currently going through our CAP process, which is our asset planning for our budget season. So we're getting all the projects in order for next budget cycle. So I'm sure we're all over the city at this point, public utilities. So, but I have flyers. I will be mailing these out to the immediate residents, with a little bit of buffer, probably tomorrow or Friday. And then the residents that in that buffer zone will get another flyer 14 days. The contractor will deliver 14 days before the start of construction. But because it's a busier road, I may require a sign to go up just so that we know construction's going to go on. Yeah. So, are there any questions? Okay, so I have 5.
That's a question. How long project?
I think I am giving the contractor 60 days. They probably won't need 60 days. And if we just line it, it will definitely be less than that. But if they have to dig up the road, that always takes more time. So. Okay? And I'll put these on the back, and my contact information is on them. So if you have questions or know somebody that will have questions, they can call me. I am the project manager on this. So.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, I think it's been a really good meeting. On the last section, we always have a few minutes for neighbor to neighbor. I don't know if there's anything we need to bring up. Blake?
The principal from Rose Park Elementary emailed me this morning about the hours for the track. Public cannot use the track during school hours, so the track is open from 4 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. And that was she just sent me that message. So don't use the track during school hours. And as soon as I hear, I'm sure that it'll be open during the summer. If I hear anything from that, I'll pass it on to everybody. But the public cannot use the track during school hours.
Weekends all day, right?
I believe so.
Glenn, I've got something too.
Sure.
I know it does not feel like spring right now at all, but it is time for Rose Park baseball registration to begin.
Yay.
So if you know anyone, boys or girls, who's interested in playing, they're going to start sign-ups at the Northwest Rec Center this coming Saturday, and then there'll be more sign-ups as the season gets closer. And for those families that it's kind of a financial burden, there are payment plans available for that.
Yay.
Young kid.
Anything else?
Carl will get in there.
You might get a little young still.
All right. Well, I really want to thank those who participated on our agenda tonight. And I know Annie, Dave, and Jenny are all still here, so I think if you still have some questions, you can catch them before they go. So, again, I think it was a great discussion tonight. So anything else? Okay, then I think we're adjourned until next month. Thanks so much.
Meeting accomplished. Meeting accomplished.